The PlayStation's first dual analog controller, and its second attempt, the DualShock, came out in 1997, so it was still quite new in 1998 when Spyro the Dragon came out. The game was compatible with the new controller, but many players would have still been playing it with the original model. The game is perfectly playable like this, and many played the game without the analog stick. But if you do have the option of the DualShock, it might be the D-pad that goes unused. But could you do it without both? No analog stick, and no D-pad? Welcome to the Spyro No Walking Challenge. The goal is to get as far as possible through the game without using the analog stick or D-pad to move Spyro. The only time they're allowed is for navigating menus. There are some similar challenges to this one that can also be found on YouTube. MediExcalibur 2012 has a video called Spyro the Dragon but can only move around by rolling, which shows a few of the same fundamentals you'll see in this video. And Pinsplash's Spyro with no steering videos would be the ones to watch if you want to see this type of challenge in the Reignited games. So if we can't make Spyro walk, what can we do? In many games the answer to this question would be not much, but Spyro's moveset comes together to just about give us enough other tools to get around. Firstly, you can use square to charge straight forwards. The first dragon is right in front of us, so that's good. Spyro's jump and glide will also take us forwards. Rolling will do left and right. We can't go backwards, which would be fine if it weren't for the other problem, that we can't turn around. This is a problem, and in fact it's the main problem of the whole challenge. But luckily Nesta is here. Normally in Spyro 1 the dragons are already pulling a triple duty as collectibles, checkpoints and NPCs, but in this challenge they get an important fourth role. After you free a dragon and step on one of their platforms, a fairy will appear. Spyro turns to face the fairy, and because the fairy's always on the other side of the platform to you, that means you'll always be left facing towards the centre. I use this technique here to turn right, then I do this really awkward sequence of moves just to get these 4 gems. Because at this point I'm still trying to get 100% of everything, but later on in the game I just start focusing on what's necessary. Speaking of which, making progress in this game is done by collecting things. You need to travel to each homeworld in sequence via hot air balloon, but each balloonist requires a certain amount of a particular collectible. 2 balloonists require dragons, 2 require gems, and 1 requires eggs. You'll notice here that at the start of the cutscene Spyro walks to a particular spot. He'll always walk to the same spot, and he'll always face the same way when he gets there. So by replaying the cutscene we can get him to face that way again every time. This is more limited, but a lot more reliable than the other method. With the angle we have off this cutscene, we know that we won't get stuck down here. You can always just roll into these walls to get back out again, so that's what we're gonna do. This Nork with the bag here takes multiple hits. He must be approached carefully lest he walk past us. Let's go for the harder gems in this area. These ones here wouldn't be too bad, but 45 degrees is about the worst angle possible. We need therefore to get right up to the edge of a platform and roll off it to glide to the towers. The left tower's unfortunately too far away, and I haven't found a way to reach these. Our first ungettable gems of the run. There will be many more. I do go into town square here, but I'll show you the rest of the homeworld before we go. Here we can use our next crucial technique. To bonk jump, land on the ground while you're still rebounding from bonking a wall in mid-air. While in this position, if you jump, Spyro will have some forward momentum for some reason. This is really useful, because under the rules of this challenge you can't normally move forwards while jumping. Here are a few clips of me picking up some gems off the floor. Charging like this at the end of a glide also gets us a bit of extra height. Be extra careful here not to get stuck. Most of the time in this game you can use the menu to exit to the homeworld for an easy escape, but since we're already in the homeworld, that option wouldn't be available here. I'm playing the challenge on the European PAL version, as it's the one that I happen to own. There's some differences from the American NTSC version, and these, especially the speed changes, almost certainly impact the challenge. I've never tried this on NTSC, so remember that everything I say here is only necessarily applicable to the European edition. I should disclose here as well my frequent use of save states, especially later on. I try not to let this cheapen the challenge though. My aim is still to find a reliable method, not just slam load state until it works. However, my other aim is to spend less than 50% of my time repeating what I've already done and watching the game boot up. Anyway, we can get the rest of the gems here quite easily by using the dragon to turn around. Then we can use him to get this angle, which will get us safely down to the balloonist. I almost get stuck here, but manage to escape. So, all 4 dragons here, 6 more needed to get on the balloon. So that's most of the homeworld. How's it going over in Town Square? Don't press anything when landing in Town Square. Once Spyro has finished landing, roll into this wall and you can climb the stairs. Turn left at Neil's and glide to the bowl zone. Turn right at the bowl and... oh yeah, another technique for turning around. Whenever any other creature moves into you, whether that's a harmless fodder creature like this sheep, or a big scary bull like this bull, you'll get pushed back, and while this happens, Spyro's facing direction will turn towards the direction of whatever's pushing him, although the exact amount and speed of rotation is hard to predict. If you don't want to turn at all, you can keep your direction by doing a roll. If you do want to turn, then good luck. The bull can boost you up to this ledge, but you'll need a better angle than this to do the glide. If you do end up like this though, you can still roll into this corner and get stuck. On my next visit I get these gems. Progress in Town Square was slow, taking several visits. Here I am getting some more gems and leaving. After much messing around, I managed to get up here again. I'm going to skip over this first fountain area for now and go and look at the second fountain, but I will come back to this part in just a minute. The guy running from the bull is good for turning around, and these chickens occasionally cooperate as well. I flamed this guy by accident and realise that I can't get up there anymore because the bull behaves differently when he's on his own. So I go back to the first fountain and get boosted up to the thief. We're not going to be able to chase him. So a couple of visits to Town Square later, I make my way to the second fountain again. I managed to refrain from flaming this guy and show you what I meant to do last time. So you see how this bull and the Nork that he's chasing keep running in circles around the fountain? As long as both of them are alive, they'll keep doing that, no matter where we go. So what we want to do is use the Nork in front, who won't hurt us, to turn around, and the bull behind, who unfortunately will hurt us, to launch us up. All it takes is a little bit of wiggling, and we're up on the ledge with Thor, the fourth and final dragon of Town Square. So now with 160 of Town Square's 200 gems, and all 4 of its dragons, things are looking bright. Stonehill likewise goes quite well. Stonehill is basically the most peaceful place in the game. Under a calm blue sky, we frolic in the grass amongst the sheep, some benign, some belligerent, who graze wide open pastures stretching over rolling hills into the distance. Nestled within are stone walls, tunnels and towers. These structures, presumably ancient and of dragon origin, are reminiscent not only of medieval storybook castles, but also of Stone Age monuments, creating a fairy tale Neolithic kind of vibe. The site suggests a long history of inhabitation and a great age of this restful place, and the music really helps get this across. Shimmering chimes and ethereal voice pads shine through and reverberate across the hills in between playful xylophone melodies and earthy bass. It's a very grounded world compared to the more obviously magical places we go to later, but it has a magic of its own, and is a very well realised environment. It avoids feeling like a video game level floating in space. It feels like you could just carry on away into those hills if these force fields weren't here, or swim off into the supernaturally calm and blue ocean, if only we could swim. This is something that's made more effective here than it would be in the sequels, as this first Spyro game benefits from the limitations of its gameplay. The game gets away with using just water as a level boundary because Spyro can't swim, and it's an effective way of containing a level, while still feeling like a natural part of the world. If Spyro could swim, the levels surrounded by water would need some other way of keeping you in. Maybe there'd be a barrier, or maybe the water would be kept out of reach. But because he can't swim, the water can just be there, the infinite ocean before you, and the illusion remains. Or they could have put a big fish in that kills you, but that wouldn't really have the same vibe. Anyway, let's see what we got up to in Stone Hill. I've added a little mini-map to the corner of the screen to make it easier to keep track of where we're going. The left area is the round room with the dragon. Because the room is circular, it's no problem to use the walls to get back to the middle where we can turn around on the platform. So therefore all these boxes are easy to break, but much less satisfying than running through them would normally be. Straight ahead of us we can go through this room and find the dragon Asta by the exit portal. Then we can jump over the wall and drop down to the beach, where we can find this key in the cave. The game lets us keep the key when we respawn, which is nice. With key in hand, we can go back to the central area, jump in the well, use our slight angle to slide along the wall, and rescue Cavern. Having done so, we use the key to open this treasure chest, and then are lucky to find that we have just enough bounce off the wall to reach the ferry platform and escape. The right hand side of the level is no problem. The biggest danger here is just accidentally walking past a gem. So I'll skip over that part and we can have a look at the top. Up here is our final dragon, Gildas. From Gildas's platform we can glide to the raised area that surrounds the level. Just like in Town Square, this level too has a thief that we can't reach up in this top area. Between them the thieves carry all of the dragon eggs in the game, and their behaviour of running away in circles makes them really difficult for us, a dragon of straight lines. When we make it to Magic Rafters, that requirement of 5 eggs is quite daunting. Hold on, is that a gem over there? This level is also a strong one for vibes, thanks in large part to this music. There's a ledge here that I'd like to reach, but the frogs are reluctant to help. It is possible, and I do it later, but the seeming randomness of the movements you need to rely on makes it frustrating. There are 2 ways we can go here. On the right, we go past this friendly guy to the slime room. In Reignited, it's repurposed into a combination slime room and library. I really like the colours in this one. Herein we get a dragon and a key, but the key turns out to be optional, because I never make it up to the ledge where it's needed. If anyone thinks they might be able to no analog stick proxy off this frog, they're very welcome to go for it. There's a similar situation with a similar frog at the ledge in the background, but that one's worse because there's a dragon up there. But moving on the left is a straightforward path to the exit with a couple of diversions for gems. Some of these I can get as shown in the video, and some I can't. These ones are not shown in the video. In the end, 2 out of 3 dragons, 74 gems. The levels shown so far have already got us 14 dragons out of the 10 required to move on, but for completeness, let's have a look at the Artisan's boss level, Toasty. This one is home to the jumping dogs, who are really good at turning us around. This guy doesn't want to do so without a fight though, but in the end, and slightly worse for wear, we managed to make it out of there facing the other way, and collect the classic 2 gems behind the start. So I'll carry on through this first area, being careful not to miss anything. The trick with the dogs is to get between them and their resting spot, so they run into you on their way back. Don't worry, I didn't miss it. I give up on the idea of getting everything in one run through the level about halfway down this hallway, but I'm lucky to get through the room at all, with this angle I've got going on. This brush against the dog makes matters even worse, and ultimately I only make it at all because of whoever decided that the middle of this step should stick out a little bit. When we get to the boss, it's all about not letting the guy get behind you. Leaving a dog unflamed so you can turn around helps, but I found myself getting blocked by the dogs, so I had to take a chance running at Toasty. I didn't get all the gems here on my first visit, but by coming back for a second visit and getting the rest in a way most flatteringly described as methodical, Toasty becomes the first 100% level of the run. Actually, I got stuck on this ledge and had to come back a third time for these guys. And I had to get revenge on this guy. But now we've got them all. Here's the totals for the levels so far. 86% gems and 93% dragons. If we can keep this rate up, we'll beat the game no problem. Things get more difficult in the Peacekeeper's world. The main challenge in the home world here is firing that cannon over there. Normally you'd do this by pushing it to the proper angle and then flaming it, but we can't push it without using the directions. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Not that there's very much to say about the way there. It's awkward, but that's mainly because it's big and open and easy to miss things. We get our 2 dragons and slowly hoover up the gems. We get to the cannon, we annoy the guy for a bit, and manage to break some boxes that I could have broken anyway. Later on I get him to break this box for us, and this one as well somehow. Next target, the target. Then I come to a whole segment of my recording that mostly just looks like this. This goes on for a while. After too much of this, I do a save state just in case, before finally getting it down. Then in my excitement I overshoot the dragon platform while trying to turn around, and I reach a moment that I labelled in my notes as "Fuck this, let's go to Ice Cavern." Right, Ice Cavern. First thing first, we go up to the platform and get this chest, and then... no. Ice Cavern just involves a lot of similar stuff to the earlier levels, but there's a big pit in the middle which is kind of scary. Generally the technique in any open area is to approach things like the electron beam in an old TV. Do it one horizontal line at a time, rolling side to side, you move to the next line and you repeat. Except while the TV does this so quickly that it's almost imperceptible to the human eye, I do it slow as hell and miss half the gems which I have to come back for later. The first big roadblock in Ice Cavern is this side room with the 2 bridges. By the time I get here, although I haven't realised it yet, it's already too late, because I'm not facing the right direction. As you can see, without being able to move backwards or turn around, only certain angles will be able to get us all the way across the room, and my angle is not one of them. It looks like there should be loads of acceptable angles though. Anything in this range would be able to do it. The problem is down here where we first enter the room and have to get up this step. This severely limits our range of acceptable angles to just this small selection. This is the angle I used in the end. It gets us across the first bridge, and yeah, this happens every time. And by the tightest possible margin also gets us across the second. So this is what you want. Well, this angle or anything further to the right, provided you can still get up the ledge, but absolutely no further to the left. So, that's Ice Cavern. Anyway, where were we? Thanks to our successes with the cannon, we can now make it to the room with the locked box. I don't have the key though, but what's worse is that I can't get back out. So I reload a save state and go and get this guy instead, completing our dragon collection for this level. Our dragons and gems are coming along quite well, but we can't forget about the next requirement after that. 5 dragon eggs. All of these are in the hands of these guys, who run in circles and turn around if you try and get ahead to cut them off. Right from when I started this challenge, I was sure that these thieves would be the biggest problem for us. We have 12 to choose from, and we need at least 5 to be obtainable, or it's over. We've missed out on 2 so far. Town Square's thief runs a path simply too awkward to follow him through, and Stonehill's is perched out of reach. This guy just runs around this pond though. We can take him, and so, after some minutes of this routine, rolling, sizing up our opponent, falling in the pond, his weakness becomes clear. He's overconfident, not paying enough attention to where he's running. As he runs away, the nature of circles means he will shortly find himself running towards us again, if he's not careful. And he's not careful. He thinks our position is weak. To be fair, it is. And in his hubris continues running, perhaps taunting us. The swiftness of our roll catches him off guard. He knows he is erred. Fucked up, even. This guy is toast, and we're only here for the egg. Welcome to Dry Canyon. Ignoring the figures on screen right now, across all the levels so far we've collected 945 gems, which means we only need 255 more gems to proceed. There are 1100 gems still in the 3 levels we have left, and there are some gems in the homeworld that I could get, but haven't picked up, so there hopefully won't be much trouble reaching that target. But it would be good if we could make some more progress towards that egg target coming up. Getting ready to catch this thief though is quite the procedure. The method is long, it relies on the random movement of the wildlife, and it gives us one shot once everything is ready, which if we miss, we actually have to reboot the game. I made the right decision about save states. So it goes like this. The first thing we do is run after him down the left side of the pillar. This makes him run away from us and stop somewhere around here. Then, we continue going until we get to the dragon platform. Here we turn around and go back to the start of the level, past where the thief is now standing. The problem is, if we pass him too closely he'll run away and ruin everything. So we need to keep left as far as possible, otherwise this'll happen. So glide across the water for the last bit, in order to prevent that. Now we're here, all we have to do is turn around. I use the wall and the spinny chest here to move back a bit, closer to the 2 hairs, so we can use them to... Where did the thief go? I use the wall and the spinny chest here to move back a bit, but not too much. After a little bit of waiting, I get hit by this hair, and then this one, and with the power of video editing, I made it look like that didn't take ages. Now, for my next trick, I need this chest in front of me instead of behind me. And I have even less control of the chest than I do Spyro, so I'm going to have to find some way of moving myself backwards. And I settle in for a game of wait for the hair to push you. But then I notice, despite my abject failure in that game, I seem to have moved back anyway. Here, I clip the front of the chest, pushing me forwards, and then a few rolls later, I clip it again. It turns out that rolling on this patch of ground here very slowly moves you backwards. Fantastic. I get behind the chest and get ready to take my shot. Flame the fan chest and watch the propeller fly up into the air and hit the bridge. So I adjust a little bit to the right. I fire again. I missed again. But thanks to save states, I can try shooting for a third time instead of rebooting for a third time. And finally, not with a direct hit, but with the splash damage from the exploding fan, taking down the thief. One more egg in the bag. Let's go and check out the rest of the level. Unfortunately, there's not that much more for us to see here. After clearing up the gems on both sides of a central column, we're faced with the rest of the level being a winding, ascending path, ultimately bringing us to the top of the aforementioned column. Now, two things we're quite bad at are winding and ascending, so in the end we get nowhere with this. Despite all that, the fact that we managed to get this egg makes this level a big win overall. Next level up is Clifftown. There's not much to say about Clifftown. Looking at the scoreboard so far, back in Artisans we collected 605 gems, 86% of what's available, but since coming to Peacekeepers our rate has only been 47%. However, there are 700 gems in these last two levels, so as long as we keep that rate up, we'll total over 1400 gems, easily passing the 1200 target. Let's not look at the third column. Back in Clifftown, I'm struggling with this section on the far end of town. At the top of here is the level's exit, and also an opportunity to glide across the level to a clifftop section. Unfortunately, climbing up requires going back and forth, and these Norks, who would be really helpful if they could push us and turn us around, just slap us instead. On re-entering the level, I get the gem from the guy I missed on the bridge earlier. I didn't say I'd do it well. Then I scoop up a few other gems, but I give up on the climbing section. Being unable to reach the majority of the level, I finish Clifftown with just 94 gems, an unimpressive 23.5%. To no one's great surprise, the egg thief once again goes unpunished. Unimpressive as that gem percentage is, it still put us just 18 gems away from the requirement, so it's impressive enough, as long as we can get those gems here in Dr. Shemp. So it all comes down to this, the final showdown, the make or break moment. We did it! Altogether I got 79 gems in Dr. Shemp. I didn't get very far through the level, and the most noteworthy thing here was how long I spent trying to get these chests. And so with that, we've made it through the second world. Here's a look back at our totals for all of the levels that got us here. Our next balloon trip will bring us to the Magic Crafters world, where our success hinges on whether or not we can retrieve 3 of the 7 dragon eggs available there. As we arrive, we say thank you to the balloonist for the ride. Then we curse the balloonist for dropping us off in this direction. How are we supposed to get anywhere from here? Luckily though, when we respawn, things look, well, not entirely hopeless. About 20 minutes later I managed to do this, and can finally safely say we've made it to Magic Crafters. I managed to follow up this success by dying in the first room, but recover it by crossing the water pools. What even are these? Why would you put these in the middle of a perfectly good hallway? On my first try, yeah! I get the dragon as well this time, unlocking a turning around spot and giving me a checkpoint in case I die again. Ahead of us now is the mission of clearing out this room. Hooray! but this is merely procrastination against the real task we're up against in this world. We need to track down some eggs. There is a thief here, running around in the upper area. He's got too many options though. He'll never be cornered by a guy who can only run in straight lines, I think. I think I was right about that one, but luckily we have a secret weapon. News travels slowly in the Dragon Worlds, and he still hasn't heard about the guy who got owned by a fan chest in Dry Canyon. And look what's down here. However, I make a few attempts, and it just doesn't seem to be possible to hit him. He's not even visible from down here, and he's not in range of the fan's auto-aim. Or so I thought. When I was editing this part, I wasn't really satisfied with the attempts I made here. Like, yeah, I can't see him from down here, and I don't manage to hit him, but the footage didn't really feel convincing enough to put it in front of me saying, oh, it's impossible. But I don't have to. Thanks to Frankly GD, Cool Jackup and Spyro Main, we have Spyro Scope. I've been using the program for the alternate camera angles in the video so far, but wouldn't it be just the thing to help with testing strategies as well? So I decided to boot it up and do a proof of concept, to illustrate how near we can get to hitting the thief with the fan in the very best case scenario. That will illustrate my point, that it's impossible. And then I only went and bloody hit him. So it is possible after all. With the help of Spyro Scope's camera, I can plan out a route to keep the thief in position while I turn around at the first dragon's platform and come back to launch the fan blade up at him. But for the rest of the video, I don't know this. But of course, here I am focusing on this guy out here, and ignoring the egg thief in the room. This guy though, this guy, turns two 90-degree corners and jumps onto a ledge. But I remembered a video I'd seen on Reddit, so I left Spyro sitting there for a while I googled for the clip. In 2021, Spyro speedrunner Lumilora uploaded a video to Reddit called "Miss the Egg Thief? No Problem." Now Laura probably did use the analog stick to perform this trick, but as it turns out, luckily for us, she didn't have to, and so we obtain our third egg. 2 more needed. As you may have seen the HUD just spoiling, I did already get another egg. That came from the next level, Alpine Ridge. Welcome to Alpine Ridge. One good turn at the start here will set us up for a good chunk of the level. The first dragon, Zane, then allows us an easy rotation to backtrack for some gems and respawn. The left path here is a bit too far away, so we have to go right. I pick up a few gems, even though we don't need them at the moment. A bit of timing can get you into the cave, but this isn't the right angle to get out the other side. So the first thing I try is this sheep, but that just gives me a tricky jump to do, and the reward for doing it isn't worth it. The reward is nothing. So I reload and see if the sheep can deal me a better angle. If it can, it doesn't want to. But I do get to see that this platform has a hole in the side of it. So I try the druid instead, and just look at this. But it all goes smoothly the next time, and we're on with the level. After we get to the top, I glide down to the Thieves' Cave. I try to follow the thief around his special racecourse, but I can't do it. Fortunately though, you can cut him off early if you run at him just like this. And so, Alpine Ridge is done, and now all we need is one more egg. There are 2 more levels to visit with eggs in them. First up, High Caves. There are 2 ways to go here, but the left one is impossible unless we can turn around, so it looks like we gotta brave the cave. But no amount of bravery is going to make running into the walls a winning strategy, and I can't really do much else. So there's 2 eggs and 3 dragons that we'll never get. There's only one level left now with eggs in it, and that's Wizard Peak. There's also a level with no eggs, Blowhard. Both of these are in the second half of the hub. Just outside of High Caves' portal is a supercharge ramp. This is our introduction to a new move, and one of the game's coolest mechanics. It feels like the final piece in the jigsaw of Spyro's moveset. Spyro gets around by charging, jumping, and gliding. Charging is how he covers ground quickly, while attacking enemies and breaking containers. As an aside, the way the square button acts as an instant switch makes for a very best of both worlds solution to the conflict between high-speed dashing and more precise jumps. Meanwhile, the gliding plays into exploration as much as, if not more than it does platforming, by allowing the connection of different spots in ways that don't have to be obvious, because the route to anywhere might potentially be from anywhere else, as long as there's a higher elevation to glide from. Then, the supercharge comes in and links all of this together. Run down these special ramps to gain speed and the ability to break more obstacles. The challenge is in controlling it and finding a way to where you want to go without crashing and losing the speed, but the reward is being able to launch from slopes to reach greater heights and new hidden spots. It ties charging and gliding together and links platforming, exploration, planning and execution. It's really cool, but none of the footage I could use to illustrate it was from this playthrough, because without the analog stick, we're not doing any of that. I can charge in a straight line down this hill, hit this guy, and that's pretty much all the supercharge we're getting. From here, Wizard Peak is on the left. Without turning around, we can make it through the first couple of rooms, but we get stuck here. So, I gave the load state button a good bit of use while I figured out that this enemy always runs into this corner every time. So run past him, careful not to run into him, stand in this spot here, and hope for the best when he runs into you. Hopefully you get an angle something like this. You can even get a proxy sometimes. Then if you find yourself with this guy behind you, try and bait out a swing from him and scramble past. Carefully approach the wizards and dodge their projectiles. They track you vertically as well, so don't jump too early, and flame them while rolling or charging. The best angle to have by the bridge is either straight on or a little bit to the left. If you manage to avoid all the lightning bolts, you can reach the first dragon. There are now 2 super ramps at right angles, but you can't slow down in between because these Norks hit fast, so charge down at a diagonal angle so you can just charge away on the second ramp. There's another dragon here, but I don't think there's any way I'm getting up to the third dragon. Hi, Editing Toofed here. Yeah, there is. So, I noticed some problems with the footage in this section and had to come back and re-record it. And while I was doing so, I discovered this method. It goes like this. So first, you want to get this kind of angle slightly to the right. Then, manoeuvre your way past the clubman. This hitbox is nonsense, but that's just how it is. Then, we're going to use these boxes to turn around. It turns out that being stuck between a stationary object and a wall can be used in the same way as a moving one. Who knew? Not me. So use the left edge of the right box to turn slightly to the right, roll up and charge the wizard, and then, now that he's out of the way, come back and use the right edge of the right box to turn left. Roll against and along the wall and hop up onto these ledges. Then, in whatever way seems possible, make your way over to the dragon. Now that we're up here, we can pretty easily jump down and get the egg without much problem. This means that we would be on 5 eggs by this point, which kind of spoils the next part of the video. So, I'm just going to ask for the next couple of minutes if you could pretend we didn't get that one yet. Okay, thanks. Hi, editing Toofed here, just to acknowledge that yeah, this is the second time I've asked you to ignore an egg. I didn't acknowledge that within the segment itself, because I actually recorded this one before I found the other one. But I just thought it was right to make these segments, for the sake of honesty and for the sake of transparency and not having to remake the ending of the video. So no eggs here. And like that, I'm out of levels, 1 egg short. Blowhard has some gems up for grabs, but no egg there. But even if I had the eggs, can I even get to the balloonist? I'll give it a shot. It takes a long while because these sheep seem a little scared of dragons for some reason, but I get there in the end. And I'm thinking, well, where do I go from here? But wait a sec. I think I saw a thief running around in Stone Hill. Okay, let's go back to Artisans. Oh. Oh. And just like that, it comes full circle. The very first thief. In the very first level. When we make it to Magic Rafters, that requirement of 5 eggs is quite daunting. 5 eggs out of 5. We go into Beastmakers. And that is the big victory to round off the video. Beastmakers is the big one for collection requirements. You've got a majority of the game opened up now, and this is where it encourages you to go back and hunt down what you might have missed. Now, we need 50 dragons. And so far, we have 34. Here in the Beastmakers world, I managed to get another 5, though. 1 by the entrance to Terrace Village, and 1 by the entrance to Wildflight. 2 in Terrace Village, clawed straight ahead of us, and Cyprin after some tricky navigation of electric floors. And finally, 1 in Misty Bog. Just use the bush that eats you to turn around for this jump. And that's everything. So here's my final scoreboard for the game. The next balloonist still wants us to find 11 more dragons. There are 19 of them still out there though. So where are these 19 elusive dragons? Let's do a rundown of where they are and see where the potential for more progress could be.